I'll be showing you ways that you use abilities that you haven't thought about before. And I can guarantee you that at least a few of these you've never seen before. So you can improve for your next rank game. You can use the Sova ultimate to get to higher spots like this. You do this by jumping at the same time that you're triggering your ultimate beam. This way you'll start to float and jump higher than you normally would. When playing Omen and using your paranoia, there's a difference between the speed that it goes, depending if you're standing still, running forward, or even running backwards. You can use this to your advantage depending on if you want the paranoia to arrive faster or slower. But the paranoia will always travel the same distance as you can see on your minimap. When playing Cypher and placing down a tripwire, crouch down and put the tripwire exactly at head height like this. This stops enemies from either crouching under it or jumping over it, making it impossible to get by it without using utility or by destroying it. You can actually hit multiple people with the one single Sova drone bolt.
Deploying drone.
But this isn't done by penetrating the one player and hitting the other player like shown.
Enemy tagged.
As they will only highlight one bot.
Drone.
But instead you have to shoot between two players, or two bots in this case, to highlight both of them.
Playing
Because
drone.
of this, you can catch 4 or maybe even more players with just one bolt. When using the jet updraft, instead of just updrafting by itself, jump and updraft at the same time. This way you can get the highest. Make sure you don't jump and then updraft, but actually do it at the same time. Before we move on, I just quickly want to thank everyone as we've managed to reach over 6,000 subscribers. When using a KO knife, instead of throwing it in a spot where the enemy can easily destroy it, instead throw it against the outside of these spots, for example against the roof or against the walls, to stop them from being able to destroy the KO knife, while still getting all the information. As the KO knife doesn't need line of sight to work, but rather just area of effect. There are many places in every map where this can be done. Instead of just using smokes, you can also use sage walls to create one-ways.
Barrier created.
There are many spots where this can be done.
Barrier created. Do not fight. Time to hunt.
Even though you can get a kill with a Tasmanian tiger if you're lucky and you get a direct hit on someone, it might actually be better to avoid it, as this would only affect one person. While if you go in between them, you can stun quite a lot of people, as the area of effect is quite large.
They can cast.
Unbind Cypher can use his camera to open the TP doors. When using a Euro ultimate, your movement speed can increase even more than when you're running with your knife out, allowing you to make jumps that you normally wouldn't be able to do. Because your utility is affected by the breach fault line and is moved away by his ultimate and can be destroyed by his aftershock.
Alarm bot down. Turrets destroyed.
Any character with flashes can also flash a killjoy turret or a killjoy alarm bot to get past. This does not work for chamber traps,
Bomb buddy out.
but it does for the raised boom bot. When playing Omen and you're throwing smokes, you're used to this view where you can see the entire map. But if you want more awareness of what's going on around you, you can press R to see this. When throwing a raised nade straight in the air, it explodes mid-air after a certain amount of time and drops 4 smaller nades which come down. Which means you can throw a raised nade over a wall far away, causing it to explode mid-air, and spreading out the 4 smaller raised nades in an area. This can be useful if your team, for example, calls at someone's 1 HP on A, so you can just throw it over and hope for the best. You can use a Brimstone Stim to jump further than you normally would be able to. A Euro TP moves faster than a player running with his knife out. Meaning you can rotate fast by just putting down your TP and letting it move to wherever you want to go, and just holding behind for a little bit longer. And then when the TP reaches a point you want to go to, just TP over. You can hide killjoy and nanoswarms behind certain objects or inside certain objects to make it harder for the enemies to find them and shoot them.
Placing swarm grenade. Swarm grenade out.
The same goes for the chamber trademark.
A gift.
You can also use this hole in the ground on fracture to hide your trademark. Just place your trademark
A gift.
underneath it. This stops people from seeing it early and maybe smoking it off or shooting it, but when you walk past, you will still 100% get detected anyway. But even using a bush like this can help your tripwire from getting destroyed or smoked off. This doesn't do much, but you can actually move bodies with raised satchels. When you're playing an agent like KO, you should always come when you're throwing a flash. But it can also be very powerful to throw your flashes in a way that your teammates can be blinded by them. So for example, instead of just throwing it out front or throwing a pop flash around the corner, where your team is rushing out of double doors onto C side, bounce your flash against this wall, causing it to pop on the left side. There's a lot of spots like this on every map that you can use. Another option can also be to throw your flashes over a roof, protecting your teammates but still flashing anyone on side. This works the same with an agent like Sky. Another option is, for example, also to throw your flash in the sky over here if a teammate wants to peek at B main. You can pop it and they're protected by this wall, while the enemies still get fully blinded. This is especially easy for Sky, as you can just guide your flashes wherever you want. But even for an agent like Yuri, you can think about stuff like this. You can use your utility when you're playing agents like Sova or Raze to destroy any traps that any sentinels might put up. This can be useful when you're pushing spots like B main, which is a very small corridor. You can just throw your satchels to destroy any traps that might be around. When playing Omen on Bind, you can fake the sound of going through the teleporter by using your Shrouded Step. You do this by activating your Shrouded Step just before you go into the teleporter. So hold your Shrouded Step in your hands, jump into the teleporter and click mouse 1 just before you go in. This way you make the noise of going through the teleporter, tricking the enemies and thinking you're in there, without actually having to be stuck in there. Playing Neon, you can do many jumps that are harder for different characters. And make jumps that would otherwise not be possible without utility. When playing Bind with Omen, you can use your ultimate to TP into the teleporters on Bind.
Watch them run. My
This way
ultimate
you
is
can
ready.
catch the enemies off guard by already being in the TP without making any noise. You can put a satchel on a raised boombot.
Satchel out.
This allows the boombot to jump over certain obstacles.
Bomb buddy out. Satchel out.
Or you can use this trick to just make the boombot harder for the enemies to hit. You can get into the teleporter on Bind without triggering the sounds of the teleporter.
Time to
by
jump.
using your burst rush. When playing Jet, you can create a one-way
Blocking sight.
virtually everywhere using your smoke, as long as there's some sort of wall available, or even a roof. These one-ways allow you to see the enemy's feet before they're able to see you. These one-ways require a little bit of
Blocking
practice,
sight.
as you need to figure out how much room you need to leave to be effective. When you throw a neon relay bolt against a roof, it still stuns the area directly below it, no matter how high this roof is, unless there is something in between the roof and the floor that you're standing on, as this stops the stun from affecting the ground below. Killjoy nanoswarms don't work with a line of sight system, but instead it just requires you to be in the area of effect, no matter if there's something in between you and the nanoswarm. This allows you to hide nanoswarms in spots that are impossible to shoot, but can still damage them if they are in these areas. This, for example, allows you to hide killjoy nades in spots where you can deny people from planting a spike. For example, in the tube on Bind over here, blocking everyone that is trying to plant a spike over here, to deny control of certain areas,
Placing swarm grenade. Swarm grenade put.
or to use in certain post-plant situations to deny the enemies from defusing the spike.
Swarm grenade out.
This is really powerful, as the enemies can't destroy these.
Planted.
2 raised satchels will destroy a stage wall segment. When you're throwing a neon relay bolt, instead of just throwing it straight at a wall, causing it to unpredictably bounce back, throw it on the ground just in front of it,
This.
causing a more predictable stun. This is more of a general one, but it can be very important to not use all your utility early round, but instead save it for a postman or for a retake, as it can be very powerful to have utility left this late into the round. You can push people off of the spike if they're trying to defuse by throwing a raised satchel.
Satchel out.
When you know an enemy is hiding in a corner, you can throw
Satchel
a raised satchel there and peek at the same time when you explode it, causing them to be inaccurate. Or you can just throw a satchel on the ground and wait for them to peek into it and just trigger it when they peek, also causing them to be inaccurate and move around.
Satchel out. Satchel out.
If you're trying to flank, you can smoke off killjoy traps or chamber traps to not alert them that you're behind.
Blocking sight. Turret ready.
This trick can be used by any character that has smokes.
Bomb buddy out.
Scanning ahead.
You can attach Sova arrows to raise boombots. Let's go.
Decoy.
As well as
Revealing
straight onto a
area.
Euro decoy. The Euro fake out doesn't get flashed by anyone's flashes, including Euro's own flashes. Meaning you can You can figure out if it's a fake Euro or a real Euro by this, as no yellow area will be formed around the decoy.
Scanning ahead.
It went down the stairs, okay?
Oh, I'm gonna put a. This is gonna be my end screen, man. This is gonna be my end screen. Thank you so much. I don't even have to make an end screen now.